When Goldfinger hit theaters in 1964, it didn't just continue the Bond saga, it redefined it. Everything we now associate with 007, the suave charm, sleek gadgets, sharp suits, and irresistible one-liners, was solidified in this one film. The Aston Martin DB5 became the world's most famous car. Shirley Bassey's booming theme song turned into an instant classic, and Sean Connery's effortless cool set the gold standard for every Bond that followed. Yet behind the polished exterior was chaos, creativity, and luck. The production was filled with strange accidents, experimental techniques, and close calls that could have derailed it all. From malfunctioning props to near-fatal stunts, Goldfinger was a gamble that miraculously paid off. So grab a martini, shaken, not stirred, and let's uncover 20 bizarre and fascinating secrets that made Goldfinger the movie that changed Bond forever. Fact number 1, Sean Connery didn't want to wear a toupee. Yep, it's true. By the time Goldfinger went into production, Sean Connery was already showing significant hair loss. To preserve James Bond's trademark charm and confidence, the studio demanded that he wear a carefully styled toupee in every scene. Connery reportedly despised the fake hair, finding it uncomfortable and unnecessary, but he understood that Bond's image depended on sleek perfection. His hairpiece was meticulously applied before filming each day, becoming as essential to the character as the tuxedo or the Walter PPK. Despite Connery's frustration, the look worked so well that few audiences even realized it wasn't real. The wig subtly evolved over his Bond films to match the trend of the 1960s, giving the illusion of timeless sophistication. Off-screen, Connery occasionally joked about it, showing a surprising sense of humor toward his manufactured image. Ironically, what began as a studio-mandated cosmetic fix became one of the most enduring elements of the cinematic Bond persona. And that wasn't the only part of his appearance he had to negotiate. Fact number 2, Connery refused to do some of the dangerous stunts. During the thrilling car chase inside Goldfinger's factory, the explosions and stunts were far more dangerous than they appeared on screen. The scene required precise timing, pyrotechnics, and tight maneuvering through confined spaces filled with debris and fire. Sean Connery, known for doing many of his own action scenes, decided this one was simply too risky to attempt personally. Instead, a professional stunt driver stepped in to handle the high-speed sequences, while Connery observed safely from behind the camera. The result was a seamless blend of realism and spectacle, maintaining Bond's fearless persona without compromising safety. The explosion chase became one of the film's standout moments, proof that sometimes even the toughest secret agents need a little help from the experts. But not everyone on set had that same luxury. Fact number 3, Shirley Eaton's gold paint scene was risky. One of the most unforgettable images in Goldfinger is Jill Masterson's body, painted entirely in shimmering gold. A striking visual that became one of the most iconic moments in James Bond history. But behind that glamour was a genuine safety concern. Actress Shirley Eaton had to undergo hours of careful makeup application to achieve the metallic look, with technicians ensuring that her skin was evenly coated without fully sealing her pores. To prevent a dangerous reaction, a patch of skin around her stomach was deliberately left unpainted so her body could breathe. At the time, rumors spread that full body paint could cause asphyxiation, a myth partially based on real medical risks associated with blocking perspiration. The effect was stunning on camera, but came with real tension behind the scenes, proving that Bond's signature mix of beauty and danger extended far beyond the screen. The scene looked glamorous, but it was pure discomfort. Fact number 4, the crew had to invent a special gold paint. The famous gold body paint used on Shirley Eaton and Goldfinger wasn't as simple as it looked. Ordinary paint cracked, peeled, or melted under the intense studio lights, so the makeup team had to invent something entirely new, working closely with chemists. They developed a custom metallic formula that could flex and move naturally with the skin while maintaining its dazzling golden sheen, even under the harshest lighting conditions. Before applying it to Eaton, the artist spent hours meticulously testing the mixture on stand-ins to ensure it was both safe and durable. Once perfected, the paint created a flawless mirror-like finish that gleamed beautifully on camera without causing irritation or damage. The innovation became a quiet triumph of movie craftsmanship, one that transformed a risky concept into one of cinema's most unforgettable and iconic visual effects. But while the makeup was high-tech, one other effect wasn't at all what it seemed. Fact number 5, the laser scene didn't use a real laser. That famous laser scene where Bond faces being sliced in half was pure movie magic. In reality, there was no deadly beam on set. Instead, the crew used a simple glowing light projected from beneath the table, while the actual cutting effect was added later in post-production. Sean Connery and Gert Frobet, who played Goldfinger, had to carefully time their movements and reactions to match the imagined danger. Despite the illusion, the tension in the scene feels real, thanks to Connery's perfectly measured panic and Forbes' chilling calm. The sequence became one of the most iconic moments in the Bond franchise, even inspiring countless parodies and homages. It proved that suspense and performance could be just as powerful as special effects, and that Bond's cool composure under pressure would become one of cinema's most defining images. Connery, though, didn't need much help looking scared. Fact number 6. Connery was actually nervous during the laser scene. While the laser beam itself was a special effect, the sparks and heat used during the scene were completely real. The production team rigged the table with small pyrotechnic charges and heating elements to make the metal appear as though it was being sliced apart. As the sparks flew and smoke rose, the set temperature quickly climbed, creating an intense and claustrophobic environment. Sean Connery's visible unease during the scene wasn't entirely acting. It was a genuine reaction to the heat and pressure around him. Director Guy Hamilton later admitted that Connery's discomfort actually improved the performance. The sweat on his face, the tension in his voice, and the barely restrained panic gave the moment a sense of authenticity that no direction could have manufactured. Hamilton even remarked that Connery's natural reaction made the scene perfect, turning a dangerous setup into one of the most iconic displays of Bond's cool under pressure. And that wasn't the only heated moment on set. Fact number 7. Gert Frobet couldn't speak English. Gert Frobet, the actor behind the unforgettable villain Auric Goldfinger, brought a commanding physical presence to the role, but surprisingly, he didn't speak fluent English at the time of filming. Because of this, his lines had to be dubbed in post-production by actor Michael Collins, who provided the polished English accent audiences know today. The decision ensured that Goldfinger's menacing delivery matched the smooth sophistication expected of a Bond villain. Sean Connery later recalled that acting opposite Frobet could be tricky since the timing of his lines didn't always sync perfectly with what would later be heard on screen. Yet despite the language barrier, Frobet's facial expressions, body language, and charisma carried the role effortlessly. Ironically, the dubbing added to the character's eerie, almost detached quality, helping make Auric Goldfinger one of the most memorable villains in Bond history. And if that wasn't weird enough, his accent still caused problems later. Fact number 8. Israel temporarily banned the movie. Because Gert Frobet had briefly been a member of Germany's ruling party during World War II in his youth, a decision he would later describe as a mistake born from ignorance, Goldfinger was temporarily banned in Israel after its release. The controversy spread rapidly, casting a dark shadow over what had otherwise become one of the most successful, iconic, and widely celebrated Bond films to date, thrilling audiences worldwide. However, the situation took an unexpected and remarkable turn when Jewish survivors came forward to defend Frobet publicly. They revealed that during the war he had risked his own life to shelter them from persecution, demonstrating extraordinary bravery and moral courage. Their powerful testimonies prompted officials to lift the ban, restoring both the film's reputation and Frobet's standing in his home country. It became a compelling reminder that real-life acts of heroism and humanity can sometimes lie hidden behind the faces of cinema's most memorable villains, forever reshaping how audiences perceive history. But not all controversies were off-screen. Some happened right on set. Fact number 9. The car chase was almost a disaster. The chase scene in Goldfinger's factory was filmed under tense and dangerous conditions, set within a crammed industrial space filled with practical effects. Sparks flew from all directions and controlled explosions were triggered in rapid succession to heighten the sense of chaos. Every move had to be perfectly timed, with stunt drivers and crew working in unison to capture the intensity without incident. At one point, a pyrotechnic charge detonated earlier than planned, sending debris flying dangerously close to the camera crew. The blast damaged the Aston Martin and shook everyone on set, but thankfully no one was hurt. The near miss only added to the adrenaline of the moment, making the final cut one of the most thrilling and authentic action sequences in the entire Bond franchise. And speaking of that Aston Martin, fact number 10, the Aston Martin DB5 was almost a different car. Originally, James Bond wasn't meant to drive an Aston Martin at all. the production team first considered giving him a Jaguar E-Type or even a Ferrari, both symbols of European luxury and speed. However, Aston Martin struck a last-minute deal with the filmmakers to feature their DB5, a sleek and powerful sports car that perfectly matched Bond's refined yet dangerous persona. The partnership turned out to be a masterstroke, elevating both the character and the brand. The DB5 introduction, complete with gadgets like machine guns and an ejector seat, instantly made it the most recognizable car in movie history. The film's success had a direct and immediate effect on the real-world market. Aston Martin saw a surge in demand following Goldfinger's release, with fans eager to own a piece of Bond's suave mystique. The DB5 became synonymous with sophistication and style, helping to cement 007's image as the ultimate gentleman spy. Even decades later, the car remains a symbol of the franchise, reappearing in later Bond films as a nostalgic tribute. What started as a simple product placement evolved into one of cinema's most iconic brand partnerships, but it wasn't easy to keep that car looking good on set. Fact number 11, the DB5 was constantly breaking down. Despite its sleek design and impressive list of gadgets, machine guns, ejector seats, smoke screens, and revolving plates, the Aston Martin DB5 was far from reliable on set. The complex electronics and intricate mechanical effects that made it appear so advanced often malfunctioned under the intense studio lights. Crew members recalled that nearly every time they tried to activate one of the car's features, something would jam, short circuit, or simply refuse to work, creating tension and frustration among the team. The special effects crew spent countless hours repairing, rewiring, and fine-tuning the car between takes just to keep the scenes running smoothly. What looked effortless and thrilling on screen was actually the result of non-stop technical problem solving, ingenuity, and persistence behind the scenes. Still, all the extra effort paid off. When the DB5 finally roared to life with every gadget firing perfectly, it became one of the most iconic, unforgettable, and celebrated vehicles in movie history, dazzling audiences for generations. Yet one gadget actually worked better than expected. Fact number 12, the ejector seat really worked. The famous ejector seat in Bond's Aston Martin DB5 wasn't just a clever camera trick, it actually worked. The effects team engineered a real spring-loaded mechanism capable of firing the seat out of the car, just as seen in Goldfinger. However, because of how powerful it was, they tested it only once, using a crash test dummy instead of a stunt performer. The seat shot straight into the air, proving the system was both impressive and dangerous in equal measure. While the on-screen version relied on quick cuts and sound effects to sell the illusion, knowing the gadget was real made the sequence even more thrilling. It became one of Bond's most memorable moments, showcasing the perfect blend of engineering, danger, and cinematic flair that would define the spy's legacy for decades. But when it came to other stunts, the team wasn't always that cautious. Fact number 13, Harold Sakata burned himself during his death scene. During the climactic scene where Oddjob meets his shocking end, sparks erupted as electricity coursed through the set. Harold Sakata, the Olympic weightlifter turned actor who played the deadly henchman, was so committed to his performance that he refused to break character, even when things went wrong. While gripping the metal bowler hat prop, he accidentally burned his hand due to a short electrical surge from the rigged effects. Instead of dropping the hat or breaking the illusion, Sakata powered through the pain, grimacing and struggling exactly as his character would have. The director didn't realize what had happened until after calling cut. That take was ultimately used in the final film, giving Oddjob's demise an added layer of authenticity and proving Sakata's dedication to the role was as fierce as his character's loyalty to Goldfinger. Speaking of that hat, there's something strange about it too. Fact number 14, Oddjob's hat was made from steel. Oddjob's infamous weapon, a razor-edged bowler hat, wasn't just a movie prop. The hat's rim was actually fitted with a thin, sharpened metal edge so it could look convincingly deadly when thrown on camera. During rehearsals, the prop department quickly discovered just how dangerous it really was. The hat could slice cleanly through cardboard targets, puncture thick wooden boards, and even nick metal surfaces, proving that it was far from a typical stunt accessory and certainly not something to be taken lightly. After one particular close call in which the hat nearly struck a crew member, stuntmen began keeping a safe distance whenever it was used on set. The production quickly learned to choreograph the throwing scenes with meticulous care, timing, and precision to avoid accidents. The result, however, was worth every precaution. The deadly spinning hat became one of the most memorable, inventive, and unique weapons in the entire James Bond franchise, firmly cementing Oddball's place as one of cinema's most iconic and unforgettable villains. Even the costumes had their fair share of weirdness. Fact number 15, Goldfinger was nearly banned. The name Goldfinger came straight from Ian Fleming's original novel, inspired by real-life architect Erno Goldfinger, whose surname perfectly captured the villain's greed and obsession with gold. However, when the film was set for US release, American censors balked at the title, claiming it sounded inappropriate or suggestive for mainstream audiences. They demanded that the studio change it before granting approval for distribution. The filmmakers, backed by producer Albert R. Broccoli, refused to back down. They argued that the name was essential to the story and already tied to Fleming's book. After weeks of tense negotiations, the studio ultimately won the battle. Goldfinger was released under its original title, and the controversy only fueled public curiosity. The film went on to become a massive success, but its once questioned name now recognized as one of the most iconic in cinematic history. But there's an even stranger twist about her character. Fact number 16, Honor Blackman trained in judo for real. Honor Blackman, who portrayed the unforgettable Pussy Galore, was more than just a glamorous Bond girl. She was a trained fighter. Before filming Goldfinger, she dedicated several months to learning judo, a martial art that emphasized skill and leverage over brute strength. Her training paid off on set when she impressed both the crew and her co-star Sean Connery by performing many of her own stunts and fight sequences, something that was highly unusual for actresses in the 1960s. Blackman's previous confidence and fighting ability gave her character a toughness that set her apart from previous Bond women. Her on-screen presence wasn't just seductive, it was commanding. Critics and fans alike praised her performance, and her role helped redefine what a Bond girl could be. Not merely a damsel in distress, but an equal match for 007 himself. And her arrival on set caused quite a stir. Fact number 17, Blackman left a hit TV show to join the film. Honor Blackman had already a household name in Britain thanks to her role as Kathy Gale in the hit TV series The Avengers, long before Marvel's superheroes ever existed. At the height of her popularity and success, she made the bold and daring decision to leave the show in order to take on the role of Pussy Galore in Goldfinger. It was a significant career gamble, but one that ultimately cemented her as a lasting film icon and showcased her versatility as a performer. In a clever, affectionate, and tongue-in-cheek gesture, the producers of The Avengers wrote her final scene in a playful nod to her upcoming cinematic adventure. As her character prepared to depart, she quipped, "I'm off to join Mr. Bond," directly referencing her move into the glamorous world of 007. The line became one of television's most memorable and charming send-offs, a perfectly fitting farewell to one of the most confident, trailblazing, and influential women of 1960s pop culture. And that wasn't the only connection between TV and Goldfinger. Fact number 18, the title song pushed Shirley Bassey to her limit. Shirley Bassett's performance of Goldfinger remains one of the most powerful and recognizable Bond themes ever recorded, but it didn't come easily. During the final recording session, Bassey gave everything she had to the song's dramatic finale. The orchestra was playing at full volume, and she pushed her voice to its absolute limit to hold that legendary final note. The effort was so intense that she nearly backed out in the recording booth. According to crew members, she actually fainted moments after finishing the take, collapsing just as the last note faded. Yet that raw, unfiltered performance was so electrifying that producers chose it as the version used in the film. Bassey's near collapse captured the passion and intensity that defined both the song and the movie itself, turning her voice into an enduring symbol of the Bond franchise's glamour and power. But even music fans didn't know this next detail. Fact number 19, the soundtrack changed the Bond series forever. Composer John Barry was the mastermind behind Bond's unmistakable sound, a bold mix of brassy swagger, seductive jazz undertones, and adrenaline-pumping orchestration. When he scored Goldfinger, he elevated the series' musical identity from simple spy tunes to full cinematic spectacle. The soundtrack oozed sophistication and danger in equal measure, perfectly matching 007's charm and confidence. Barry's work on Goldfinger set a new benchmark for film music, shaping not just the Bond franchise, but the entire spy genre. The iconic blend of blaring trumpets, sweeping strings, and driving rhythm became the sonic DNA of Bond himself. From that point on, every subsequent film in the series followed Barry's template, proof that his sound didn't just accompany Bond's adventure, it defined them. And finally, one last fact that proves just how unstoppable this movie really was. Fact number 20. Goldfinger was the first Bond to win an Oscar. It took 3 films for James Bond to finally strike Oscar gold. Goldfinger earned the series its first Academy Award, taking home the prize for Best Sound Effects Editing. The win was more than just a technical achievement. It signaled Hollywood's recognition that the Bond franchise had evolved into a cinematic force. From its sleek production design to its explosive action sequences, the film raised the bar for spy thrillers and blockbuster entertainment alike. The award also marked a turning point for the series, proving that 007 wasn't just a passing trend, but a lasting part of pop culture. Goldfinger's mix of glamour, danger, and innovation set a new standard for sound design, especially in its use of iconic effects like the laser beam and Aston Martin gadgets. After that Oscar win, Bond films became larger, louder, and more ambitious, solidifying the franchise as a global phenomenon that would dominate theaters for decades to come. And there you have it, 20 weird facts about Goldfinger, 1964. From fiery stunts and fake lasers to secret dubbing and fainting singers, this movie didn't just make Bond famous, it made him legendary. If you enjoyed this dive into Bond history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your favorite James Bond movie.